Hello, welcome back. And we're picking up stories. I call them stories. Well, it's David's story, really. And these chapters that we're sharing today from First Chronicles 23 to 25 are about the twilight of David's years. So, David, in his old age, made his son Solomon king over Israel and continued to prepare him to be his successor, and he offered him advice and direction. The focus on the temple in these chapters show how central the dwelling and worship place of God was to the Israelites. Now, if you remember back in the wilderness, God was with them in the tabernacle and the tents that the Levites carried around. So now that they were settled in their land, this was the time for him to now have a permanent worship place. Today, God dwells in us and not in earthly temples. Like, there is no central temple. I mean, think about it today. There are many churches and many places of worship, but right now God dwells in us through the Holy Spirit, and the temple is in our hearts. But back then, it was really important for them to have a place to go to meet with God, to offer sacrifices and worship. We see David's gift as a planner in these chapters here, where he assigns duties to the Levites for the house of the Lord. He separated them into divisions amongst the sons of Levi, which were the sons of Levi. Remember them? Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. I never can pronounce these Old Testament names. I'm sure you struggle as well. Okay, so the Levites who carried the tabernacle, because they were not carrying the tabernacle from place to place anymore, were now assigned to serve under the priest of Aaron and assist with the duties as the tabernacle didn't need to be carried about anymore. So it was like, how Aaron's duty was to do the sacrifice. So they were supposed to assist him to do the sacrifice, because remember, it was only Aaron that was allowed to go into the Holy of Holies at the time. And so the tabernacle didn't need to be assembled and disassembled and carried from place to place anymore. And so 24 of them were assigned. Now, 24 was a very common number in the appointments made by David. He appointed 24 divisions of priests, musicians, military. He had 24 military divisions as well. The Levites were numbered for service from 30 years old initially, but Moses later lowered the age to 25 and then to 20 years old. No reason was given, but this probably had to do with the amount of work needed to maintain and the workload for upkeep of the temple. Another thing that struck out to me, another lesson I learned, were two legitimate priestly lines existed, and those were the lines of Zadok and Ahimelech, sons of Eleazar and Ithamar, respectively. Now remember, those were the only remaining sons of Aaron at the time, because the first two, I can't remember their names now, got killed for offering unholy fire to the Lord. The musicians served a principal role in the worship of Israel. They were the sons of Asaph, Heman, and Jeduthun, and were divided into 24 divisions by the casting of lots. They were only required to play music and no other duties. Now, I thought about that. Everyone else was doing something that seemed like heavy lifting, but the musicians were just to play music. But then I saw how important it was, because they led the worship. They were the ones who led people, into the presence of God with worship. And so there were also a lot of musicians. There were 4,000 in all, and they were made up of all ages, great, small, teachers and students. And I think this just helped me see how important music was. And especially to David. Remember, he was a psalmist, a poet, a songwriter, someone who, worshiped God through those means. So I could see how important musicians must have been to him, in relation to the temple and worshiping God. Now, here's my hashtag getting to know God lesson. God has given rest to his people. In 23:25, David said, "The Lord of Israel has given rest to his people, that they may dwell in Jerusalem forever." This indicates relief and certainly a weight off, especially those Levites, the Levites who had to carry things about. There was no more carrying things from place to place. They had entered rest. This tells me that God is the one who gives rest from all our toils and the things that we go through here on earth. There's rest for us in Him, rest for our souls. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Do you need rest today? Come to Jesus. He is the source of all rest. Thank you for joining me today. And tomorrow we're going back to the Psalms, and we'll soon be done, don't worry. And I look forward to seeing you here. Have a good day. Bye.